the Lee and Ian Show, starring Lee and Ian. I'm Lee Navlin, and once again, I am joined by the great legal scholar, he of Grodman Law and Mediation. That would be Ian Grodman.
Ian Grodman, that's me, the legal scholar. I love that you call me that.
Well, Ian, I figured someone should call you that, right?
I think you might be the only one.
Yeah, well, no, that's not true at all. We've talked about this before. And by the way, when I say Grodman Mediation, we haven't talked about this on the air too much, but if people are going through a divorce, families are going through a divorce, you're someone they should reach out to,
absolutely.
actually.
I mean, that's most of the work that I do is helping people who are going through divorce, sometimes having post-divorce issues in their family. But any kind of family dispute, you know.
I would love to get a divorce. That's just me.
But I'm bummed.
But I'm bummed.
Hopefully Bronwyn's not listening.
She is listening,
Okay,
yeah, and
okay.
that one's going to come. But anyway, we're going to be talking music today,
Yes,
Ian.
we're
not talking divorce. We're talking
not
music.
talking divorce. We're not talking mediation. We're talking music. Maplewood.
Maplewoodstock.
There we go.
And we have with us a great friend of ours, a great friend of SOMA. He is one of the co-founders of Maplewoodstock, Tarquin Learned.
Hey,
Yay.
how we doing?
Tarquin, we're doing great, man. Thank you for coming down. Really appreciate it. You've been working hard to get this festival ready for years and years and years, and now you're up against the clock once again.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's that clock keeps getting a little shorter every year. Yeah.
And the
I think we're all getting older.
is that the energy level, right? Is getting now Tarquin. Before we get into Maplewoodstock this year, let's talk a little bit about the history of Maplewoodstock, because for those who are kind of new to the community, I know so many people have moved here to this community because of Maplewoodstock. That's where they first realized Maplewood existed or SOMA existed. A friend invited them to the show, and they said, wow, this is where I want to live. I mean...
Yeah, no, it's definitely a decision point when they come and experience the gig, that they're like, wow, this happens, and it's free, and I can go to a beer garden. And
That's right,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And here, now... Maplewoodstock, what was it? You're sitting around one day having beers with some buddies, and you're like, you know, it'd be great if we named the festival Maplewoodstock. Is that kind of how it? That's right.
So no, it's actually a very finite point in time. 22 years ago, so we're on our 20th anniversary this year. But 22 years ago, because of COVID, Jim Buchanan, the late great Jim Buchanan. Was affiliated with Parks and Recreation. And so I think there was, I want to say, $350 left in the budget to spend on some sort of event. And so Jim grabbed a couple of people together and say, what can we do with $350? And so lo and behold, a few people got together and said, let's put on a little show. Let's see if we can do it outside in the town. We had folks like John Williams and Jamie Ross and
Maplewood Online, Jamie Ross, who back in the day before Facebook, that was huge social media vehicle.
I bought every chair and bureau from Maplewood Online.
There we go. There we go. Your house is furnished.
My house is furnished. Thank you, Jamie Ross.
That's
Brought to you by Jamie Ross.
Brought to you by Jamie Ross.
So the idea was, all right, how do we do this thing? And it was only weeks to go. And at the end of the day, it was a John Williams who worked for who was it? Sony BMG.
Okay, yep, that sounds about right.
And he was a producer, and so he's like, well, I can kind of loan a handful of mic stands and amps, and I can make that side of it happen. And then we're like, oh, this guy's got a flatbed truck. We can get that over here. And somebody was like, well, how much is a generator to rent? Well, that's about $300. Done.
and that was it. And I remember it was on the back of like a flatbed truck.
Yeah, flatbed truck.
Right in the same spot in the park.
Same spot, yeah. And, at that time, a lot of places within SOMA were closing down their music. Like, do you remember Arts?
Here's to the Arts. They were on right in Maplewood Village. Yep.
Right.
I do remember.
And some other places, like what was then became Highland Place, which was the Italian place.
That's right. Yep. That's right. He had music.
He had music. Yep. So all these places were all of a sudden kind of closing down.
Yeah.
And there was not a roof for musicians in town to play under.
Right.
And so this was a great excuse to get local bands to play. And at that time was one day, I think, or no, it was still 2 days.
Was it 2 days the first day? Wow.
The first one, holy cow!
On $350.
Yeah, so that's how it started. Thanks to Jim Buchanan.
Jim was an amazing guy, and his wife was his too.
The two of them.
The two of them.
Really
were,
Maplewood legends.
That's right. Yeah, Maplewood legends. So Maple Woodstock. Who came up with that name? Someone came up with that name.
It named itself. I mean,
There wasn't one person. Wasn't.
well, I was there in the park contemplating for
because I tell people it was you.
3
always.
hours.
So people ask me, I always go Tarquin. Yeah, I'm always.
I was on that mescaline and a dove landed on my guitar neck, and I was like, oh,
There we go.
There's a name, right? The name. Now has the. Right, people who run the real Woodstock or whatever. Have they ever?
Oh yeah.
You've had issues.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
We've
The
had a
legal
couple
scholar wants to know.
cease and desist. Definitely, they reached out based on branding, and at one time we did actually the first time have a little dove on a guitar neck, and so they got wind of that and the name. But so at the end of the day, we had a volunteer legalese person in town suggest that Maplewood being the name of the town and adding stock to it, which is connoted as some sort of gathering of people, would work just fine, and we wouldn't get in any trouble, and we've had it ever since.
And it hasn't been a violation, right? Yeah, and
Brilliant legal work.
brilliant legal work.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
right.
yes.
That's right.
And when did Woodstock have that like blaze of glory when everything caught on fire and it was
Well,
a riot?
69 was when it
No,
was
like
great.
the one later.
99. I think it was 99 when they had the disaster. I think it was Woodstock 99. I think it was. Yeah, where.
So I just think they had too much paperwork on their desk to deal with Maplewood, New Jersey.
Right.
There we go.
Right, yeah, that's
Little
right.
Maplewood.
There's a documentary on that, by the way. Maplewood. Yeah,
It's pretty gruesome.
It was horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, and they had it like in an old like military base or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It was all cement. It was steel and
111 degrees
right,
on the
right, right. So the kids just were getting fried.
Right.
Physically.
Oh, and they didn't
mentally.
allow you to bring water in, right? And so
Sure,
you
right,
had to
right.
buy the $8 bottles of water. And these poor kids are like, well, I don't need an $8 bottle of water.
yeah.
I'm going to save it up for my $16 bottle of beer later.
There we go.
and then
And instead
boom.
of having like Crosby, Stills and Nash, they're playing some soft, happy music. They have Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Did they have like Rage Against the Machine?
Rage
or
Against the
something?
Machine.
All hell broke loose.
Like, right, exactly. Like people were just like, well, I've got no choice but to rage. The band is telling me. So, all right. So Maple Woodstock. What year is this? This is going to be.
This is our 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary.
great.
I mean, there's a lot of debate, a lot of arm wrestling going on at the bar as to is this our 21st year, our 22nd year? It's our 20th anniversary for the event to go live.
And
Excellent.
yeah, so when did you? How did you decide? Okay, we're gonna get local bands from Maplewood. We're gonna get bands from the, around the country, headliners. How did all that come together?
Yeah, I think no one, at least I speak for myself, really wanted to plan for growth, but growth just kind of happened, and I think ideation happens, and when you get around, like, what can we do better? And if only we had $3,000, what can we do with that? And then what can we do with $10,000? And so we just ended up doing things that normal kind of events would do, which is, hey, are there some local sponsors around town? Chip in a few shekels to get us that next level. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, we need a stage. The flatbed has a flat tire. And so, okay, so stage one, how much does that cost? Well, that's $10,000. And so it just grew out of necessity to pay for what an event of its caliber should be. Mm-hmm. And so it was growth by necessity in a sense, and it's a multi-$100,000 event,
right?
And so it's just grown into that, and we've been able, due to art vendors. Mm-hmm. Literally, we used to say, "Oh man, we run an event on T-shirt sales," because that's what it was.
Right, yeah.
And T-shirt sales accounted for a pretty significant portion of our budget, and we sell about maybe 1,000 or more T-shirts.
Are 1,000
so
shirts
you
sold
do the
every
math.
year?
Yeah, you do the math, and now we're gonna print T-shirts a little earlier, Mayfest, that kind of thing. Anyway, long story short is, it's T-shirts, and then we got the food vendors, and now they chip in because they pay to play, right? And then the art vendors, and they pay to play to have a spot, and that's grown exponentially, right? So.
And that helps you to get the bigger acts, I guess, so
Yeah,
to speak.
it helps cover the
that money
stage of the
goes
cost.
to stage cost, acts. It doesn't go to anyone's pocket.
I mean, that stage cost is easily $50,000.
That's wow. Yeah.
Yeah, just the stage.
And the DJ, in the middle, you're playing music, in between sets and whatnot.
Stuff for kids. You've got like a little
right.
Like,
yeah, they pay to play
area.
too. Yep.
Yep.
So all that, you add up those 4 or 5 things, and you got a show.
Right.
Because we fund ourselves. And now it's changed a little bit. I don't know if you remember, but I don't know, 10 years ago, Jim Robertson and I cut a top of a Home Depot bucket and then built a sign out of a cardboard or whatever it was.
That was
a sunflower, and it said, "Feed me."
The donations, right?
Donations, and the kids would run down with their $1 or $2, and then at the end of the weekend, we'd open up the bucket and be $11, and there would be like,
there we go, 11. I love it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember giving my son when he's like 5 or 6 years old, whatever he was, go down and give money, and and the guitar player would wave at him. He'd come back. It might as well have been Jimi Hendrix waving at him. So you do have fundraising going on right now. This year, it's the first time you've done that.
It's not the first time. So fundraising has happened again incrementally over time due to necessity. We used to have raffle tickets. Kids would go out, volunteers would go out and sell the 2-for-1s or whatever. And so we had the raffles. We raffled off the guitars at one point that were donated from Guitar Center. And so, with the age of electronic currency, here we are. You get asked to tip on a pair of shoes that you pick out yourself at the store. I don't get it. But But in this year, we put some fundraising behind us for the 20th anniversary because we wanted to do something bigger and better this year. And so, there's a fundraiser out there, Maplewoodstock.com. And we've been a little bit louder and prouder of this effort because we never wanted to be the organization who had its hands out, right? We just kind of wanted to be quiet in the background doing our thing. But again, due to necessity, now we have to kind of raise a flag and say, help.
And a reminder, you don't sell tickets. This is a free event, a free 2-day event.
And like you said before, it's multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm letting too many sheeps out of the bag here. Okay. But it's a lot of money.
I think it's important for people to hear that, right? Because
it's money.
This is so important to people in Maplewood. We have people come from all over northern New Jersey. The trains come out to Maplewood during Maplewoodstock, filled with people coming from the city, right? So it's important for people to know that it costs a lot of money to have this very important event, and you need help.
That's right. Yeah,
especially for this year. And the acts have only gotten bigger and more expensive, and cost of goods, as everyone knows. We're living the egg theory here.
That's right.
Now what I saw, someone just Maplewoodstock, they just released a list of those who have donated for this year, which was very nice. Kind of giving like a little shout out to. So I saw there was a couple anonymous donations of $1,000.
That's huge.
Which an anonymous.
Huge.
I did see. I'm going to shout out.
Did you see the one from Lee and Ian? Lee and Ian podcast. Did you see that one?
You know,
11 cents.
You asked us for money. I said, "How about we bring you onto the podcast? It'd be better than money. It'd be fucked up."
Give us a little time.
That's right, little time. That's right. And I have.
But what were you going to say?
I have $9 on me, Ian. If you could, if I could borrow a single.
I think today's a good day for me. I have 32.
That's right. We're making all sorts of money on this podcast.
But I interrupted you. What were you saying about?
So anyway, $1,000, couple anonymous, which is amazing. Shout out to Sally Chu. My birthday, May 14th. We share a birthday. She gave $500. Wow. I just want to give a shout out to Sally Chu. And then I was a little disappointed Dave Wopov only gave $100. So just a little, shout out to Dave as well.
He's hurting.
He's hurting. That's right. Yeah, he's hurting. All right, Dave. But seriously, again, where can people send donations to keep this great Maplewood legacy festival alive?
Maplewoodstock.com.
Maplewoodstock.com. All right.
That's where everything lives. And again, we're all volunteers too.
Right. And that's important to point out.
I think the other great thing that's happened as a result of this is we're not a township affiliated organization. Mm-hmm. We are independent, and we now run under the auspices of our umbrella 501c3, which is entitled Maplewood Arts Education Project. Mm-hmm. And so it's a beautiful thing because we can help organize not only Maplewoodstock, but we are also helping divest, money and support for the arts and education in the Maplewood School District. That's so our primary focus this year is for the school district. We've already donated a lot of money to the K through 6, I think it is.
Okay.
And now we're hitting the middle schools, and then next is the high school, to the tune of $8,000-$10,000 donations.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, especially since arts programs are being cut from the school district.
Exactly.
So for you to step in and do that's amazing.
Yep. We have all attended those meetings.
Excellent.
And they're uproarious, moments. But we're there to support it, and we don't want to step on the toes of other foundations like Achieve and some other folks.
Tarquin,
Yeah.
I love everything about Maplewoodstock. A couple things don't love about it. Why'd you move the beer garden? I loved when the beer garden was on top of the hill.
Because it's got
Can we get that back on top of the hill? I will donate money right now if you can guarantee me that beer garden. But seriously though, there have been changes like that. It's just part of doing business. It's just because there's so many more people attending it now.
It's a result of COVID, really, is to spread everybody out. So that was the number one reason. And the growth, So what's cool, like people may not know this, we had 14,000 unique identifications on that field over the 2-day period.
Wow.
Unique.
Yeah.
Well, Tarquin, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Well, there is data that comes from cell towers,
Right.
to identify independent numbers, and that is the calculation we got.
The 14,000 people are walking
in that park over that 2-day period.
Wow.
And not pinged twice. That's just a unique identifier.
Right. Wow.
So that's a lot of people.
Right. So
we used to have maybe 3,000 at headliner time, 15 years ago.
That's an amazing
And now you're
statistic.
there at 8:00 at night. You look on that hillside. It is like
exactly right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So that's part of the reason COVID was about spreading out. So with all your thousands of listeners here on this podcast, maybe they would want to vote.
Yeah.
Maybe they would want to vote and chime in on this. But we are weighing heavily the options. And so we have all been out there, the committee that is out there with our measuring sticks, and have taken numbers down. And we are trying to see if we can accommodate the same amount of vendors, food and art, on the hillside versus the other field. And by the way, if we can't, and we stay on that east field, we're going to try to make it better and better by the way it's organized in terms of rows or where the art vendors are. The idea that, last year it's just a little too spread out. So the idea is to try to get it a little tighter, make it more market, have something that is an incentive to go through the art vendors, like maybe the beer gardens at the end of the art vendors. So we're weighing all these options. Those decisions will be made in the next 2 weeks.
That was a great answer. I was expecting you to be like, I don't know why we moved it, Lee.
I do know one thing.
That was a great answer.
He knows a lot of things.
Yeah, that's amazing, Ian. 15,000 people.
That's unbelievable.
14,000.
Now, Ian, when you were on the township committee, Ian was vice mayor. Had Maplewoodstock, was it already off to the races? I assume it was.
Yes, it had just started.
It had just, right. So
the first time I was there. Yep.
So did you have anything to do with green lighting it, or what was? Do you remember what the feeling was amongst government?
I can take zero credit for Maplewoodstock. I will tell you that.
But back to the point of the township. Sorry to interrupt.
The township does have to get much more involved now.
They're our partner for sure, for sure. So we vet a lot of things through them. We have to rely on the police department. Obviously, we rely on our EMTs and EMS, who are all
Public
great partners.
Works.
So we partner very closely, hand in hand with the township now. And obviously, we have to get our liquor license for the day. So that has to get voted on.
Yeah,
but
that's through the town. The liquor license has to be approved by the town or the state, or okay.
It's state and town really, but the town puts it through.
And it's like beer, wine only. And then people whatever they choose. that's
I didn't mean to shirk that we're not affiliated with the town. We are, and we're great, strong partners. That we're just an independent organization.
Yeah, great. No, I mean,
the township committee very much supports Maplewoodstock.
Oh, when you're there, you see
beneficial.
You see Nancy walking, shaking hands, and Vic, and
the whole township committee will be there.
Yeah, they're all very, very excited.
Who knew Nick could dance like that?
I know.
What a shaker!
Who's that? Victor Luca?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
He's dancing even more in his retirement.
I love it.
He's got more time for dance
lessons. I don't think he'll ever retire. He's doing something.
No, he won't. He won't.
No.
We're very fortunate to have him.
Yeah, no, I mean, the consistency of that government, the consistency of Maplewoodstock. I mean, it's nice. You could walk in and a familiar face, say, "Here's what I need. We know what you need," right? And okay, Tarquin. Now, this is Ian. I'm just going to tell you this story really quickly.
Sure.
Okay.
I love a story.
I'm a huge Deadhead. I love the Grateful
Yes.
Dead. When
Anybody who knows you
when
knows
Jerry
that.
Garcia was still around back then, you would say you would take pride in how many Dead shows you went to. I probably went to about 40 Dead shows. You know,
Okay.
so I saw Jerry Garcia about 40 times. That means I also saw Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead 40 times. Jerry Garcia dies in '95.
Yep.
Bob Weir's all sorts of other bands. Further, he's in Rat Dog. Now he's in Dead and Company with John Mayer. I've probably seen Bob Weir about another 40 times. That's 80 times. I've seen Bob Weir play about
Impressive.
80 times. The only musician I've seen play more than Bob Weir is Tarquin Learned. Right over here.
Ah, there we go.
I think Tarquin. I think I used to joke around. It was Bob Weir, Tarquin. I don't think so. I think it's Tarquin Bob now.
There you go. You took the lead, Tarquin.
You got to get out of my closet, man.
Well, you're always playing. He's in a Grateful Dead cover band called the Deadful Greats. He
Yep.
also plays
Okay.
with a fantastic band
didn't
called the
know
Stuff
this.
Brothers. And Tarquin is always playing, around town. He's playing in New York. He's playing down the shore. I've seen you play up in
Yeah.
Sussex County.
Yeah.
In Warwick, New York. So
Every place only has us once, though. So we got to move around.
Right, that's right. But for local guys here who are moving to the area from Brooklyn or whatnot, or Hoboken, and they play guitar, they play drums, and they want to get into local music bands. How did that kind of work out for you when you moved here? Back in the day. How did you? I see on SOMA dashes people like, I just moved here. I'm having trouble making friends. I play music. I'd like to kind of, and they don't know how to navigate that
I
minefield.
was rolling a baby stroller down the sidewalk, and this woman comes up. She's like, "Oh my God, we're the same age, and you have a baby, and you're here."
Right.
And we started talking, and she's like, "If you ever need to know anything," because we told her we were going to think about moving here.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, she became a fast friend, and one day said, "You have to meet my husband. He plays bass." Boom, that's it.
Okay.
And by the way, you could spit in any direction and hit a musician in
That's
this
right.
town.
It's pretty
So,
easy.
I'm sure now there's tons of forums, SOMA dads under 30 play rock, or,
Right. Right.
what, So
Gar bars.
there are so many musicians here. I mean, accomplished composers, producers, the list goes on. So you don't have to look far. And there's, like I always like to say, 111 dad bands here. I mean, that's
Yep.
why we can have music here every weekend at one of the venues, for sure.
Right. We need more venues. We need more.
That's true.
A couple of them have it seems like they've narrowed a little bit over.
Yeah.
But they come and go. I assume we'll
Yeah.
see more.
That's a whole nother show, the
Right.
restaurants in this town.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for that. I guess the next question I have for you, Tarquin, is regarding the Porta Johns at Maplewoodstock.
I was going to get there, too.
Yes, I wanted to know, it seems like there's a lot more now than there used to be. Who's in charge of the Porta Johns?
I will give that credit to Mr. Jamie Ross.
All right.
I think
Way to go, Jamie.
we always kind of let that one slide on the timeline, and all of a sudden it's like, the gig's next week. Do we have bathrooms? And Jamie's like, I'm on it.
Right. All right. Yeah, because there were a couple of times when I remember I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't find it back in the day. But this past year,
train station.
it was amazing. Yeah,
Right.
right. It was.
Yeah, we'll have plenty.
I had no wait. It was. I just
At one year, we paid my kid, who was probably 10, paid him $200 to wipe him down all day.
Oh, that was it.
It was the most
God
humiliating
bless him.
and humbling job,
Yeah.
but something that he still gets patted on the back for to this day.
Right,
He's
that's
21
right.
years
That's
old.
great.
That's
Nobody's
right.
gonna
Yeah.
forget that.
That's why as he's wiping it down, you go, "That's why you're going to college." But yeah, my son actually volunteered at Maplewoodstock a couple of times. I think Max too. Your son Ian. I think the two of them. I remember they were
Max.
garbage cleanup or whatnot.
Well, Tom Kearns, who became a committee member and helped lead our little merry posse of pranksters, had his HK organization way back
true.
when. And so he used to have the HK fund have a bunch of volunteers, and it was the first time we ever set up organized volunteership.
Yep.
And that's kind of spearheaded how we are today. We are always looking for volunteers. So maplewoodstock.com, sign up to be a volunteer. Sign up.
That's a great experience. It's during the summer. There's no school. It's a good opportunity to get some
Yep,
really
for
great
sure.
experience working at an important event in town.
Yep.
So Tarquin, your favorite headliner of all time? Do you have one? And over the 20 years, I mean, now I'm going to say
Favorite on stage or favorite behind stage?
tell us behind the scenes
more.
stories. I can only tell you on stage, and I love Dumpster Funk. They were perhaps my
I'll
favorite.
tell you, Los Lobos, they smoke really good cigars.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Cigars. Okay,
Cigars,
okay, yeah.
You know, I loved. I was quite surprised, and I loved Raul Malo. I don't know if you remember him, Raul Malo. He was the lead singer and is still the lead singer of the Mavericks.
Okay.
So I just thought he put on a hell of a performance. It was just exquisite. I know my not so favorites too. When Nora Jones and her two other women partners came as Puss in Boots.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was one of their birthdays, so I don't, no harm, no foul. But they did kind of make a mess of the trailer that we had utilized from our EMS team.
Yeah, all right. So
they were thrown cake all over the place, and
yeah, all right. So they were all right. So
not pretty.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, could they come back? Are they banned? Are they banned from?
Well, we've never had a repeat headliner.
Right, okay. That's right. You never had a repeat.
So I get to ask that all the time. Why don't we get so and so back? Well, there's plenty of fish in this ocean.
So speaking of headliners, Tarquin, I heard a rumor just recently that a band that I know from my childhood may be appearing at Maplewoodstock this year. Can you talk about that?
What band is that, Ian?
That band would be Kiss.
Kiss. All right.
But listen, I mean, it's been a weighty discussion, and the problem is we cannot afford Kiss with makeup. But without makeup, we're on to something.
Makeup sponsor.
Yeah, we've got Maybelline in the back there.
Okay.
But
maybe somebody from Maplewood
I
could sponsor
Kiss
that.
is touring still.
Yeah, Kiss is still I mean, that's, every couple of years, I think it's their final tour, and then they, and
no walkers involved.
Right.
And there's money to be made. Gene Simmons will be making it. So
no doubt.
Right. Yeah.
Adding to the length of that tongue.
So that's a possibility. One day you may. I mean, could you announce that, or would it be a surprise? I mean, because how many people I would imagine.
Well, I know that there are big enough artists that we wanted to have who we put down as part of our stipulation we would not announce.
Yeah.
Like SZA.
Right.
Like no announcement, because she's got such a fan base that would be
50,000 people could show up.
Maplewood Park could not
and then
it.
same with like a Lauryn Hill or that kind of performer who's local. And by the way, we'd love to have either of them. But we wouldn't announce it. And speaking of which, you say the trains are coming into town with all these people. We don't need more people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the best show on earth for a band traveling because we don't need your fans.
Right.
We don't need to sell tickets.
Yep. You got 14,000 people.
We got locals.
Yeah.
And so, but back to the headliner thing, I think part of my job personally is to try to help find up and coming musicians who are kind of at that brink, right, of playing the bigger gigs. Mm-hmm. And then you talk to some of the other committee members, and they're like, well, we want a known name, And thus we get this kind of dichotomy of kind of up and coming versus well-known acts. And I'll give you an example, like Daniel Donato last year. Nobody knew who the hell he was.
Right. But he's big. He's big now.
He's big now.
Yeah.
I mean, we caught him right at the crest of a little wave.
Maplewoodstock helped to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we want to be known for is like, oh, I remember when I saw them at Maplewoodstock, and now you're seeing them at the Garden.
Right, yeah.
Right?
That's interesting. So that maybe you're going that route more than years ago, the Smithereens.
Smithereens, right.
They were a smash in the 80s, I guess, 90s.
Yeah, they were kind of on the downside.
Right, but, they still, packed the house.
They did. So it's a little bit of that. It's maybe a known act, and it's, again, an arm wrestling match we have every time we meet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we're in a really cool place right now. We've got one band who is coming from L.A., so, this may win longest distance.
This is this year's headliner, which you can't announce yet. In a few days, it's likely going to be announced.
Yeah, but if the ink dries, we'll announce it. But
what date do you think that'll be announced, right? We want
probably in
people
a week or so.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
So what's today?
Checking
Next Wednesday.
Maplewoodstock.com for that information.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Good idea. So, but a different kind of vibe, they're from LA. They've got a little Latino vibe. They've got big band sound. They do a little hip hop. They do some funk. I mean, so
my wheels are turning.
Yeah. So, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's like, what's going to make people take their shoes off and start boogieing on that grass?
Yep.
That's what we want.
Well, I go to the show. I don't stay the whole time because it's hot. My wife complains. She all she does is complain when we're in hot weather. It's too hot here. The beer garden's too far. Tarquin didn't invite me into the VIP section. I don't know why. He always in the so this is the issue that I have. When I'm dealing with my wife. But I show up when you're playing. Your band is. Are you playing this year?
Oh, the committee has to evaluate and assess us and then vote.
Right. So you just like every other band.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So
man.
when people go, well, he's on the committee, that's why.
That is not true.
So we don't know if your band is playing it. So
No.
Okay.
One of the bands did apply. The Stuff Brothers did apply.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Not under my name, but they did on their own, and we'll see.
So no bands have been announced yet then.
No. All the applications for bands closed Sunday night at 11 o'clock.
Okay. So I misunderstood that. I thought some of the bands have been announced.
No,
but-
and we'll spend 3 weeks now vetting those bands with a subcommittee. And by the way, it's kind of blinded. Like the subcommittee vote based on a number.
Yeah.
And you calculate who got in. If all parties in the committee voted for a band, well, that puts them in one column. And it's you kind of know who the 22, 25 bands are right off the bat based on how the votes came in.
Right.
So you have about 25 bands are playing over the 2 days,
Yep,
basically.
yep.
And how many applications do you receive?
At last week about this time there were about 100. So I'm going to guess there are about 120, which is consistent for every year that we do it.
Right.
It's about
Great.
120.
That's great.
But those 120 seemingly are coming from further away.
That's my next
And
question.
bigger.
So they come from other states,
Oh, yeah.
to the point where someone down in
said
Virginia,
LA.
your hometown, by the way,
Yeah.
home state Virginia, might
Yeah.
play.
Coming from all over. And now, management companies and small talent agencies are starting to get wind of us. We're kind of on the radar.
Yeah.
And so they reach out to us.
Now, would these be
great.
bigger bands or smaller bands? House,
This would be a band that sells out 800 tickets in Boston.
Yeah.
And come down here and they're bupkis.
And they're reaching out to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm in a band with Ian, the Lee and Ian band.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
And
I'm a singer too, as well as a legal scholar.
I've got my ukulele over here, which I
no, the
brought.
pressure's on.
So Ian and I were, gonna, So what would I have to do to get into the Maplewoodstock? How does the whole,
I think
how does the
you
whole
should
process
practice
work?
a little
Demo
bit
tape
more.
we can submit.
Lee and Ian, our podcast. And anyway, I'm working on a jingle, so I don't have.
Keep working, buddy. Keep working.
I know. Stick to the podcast, right? But
So every year, we have about a 2-month window where on maplewoodstock.com, bands go and there's an application. Tell them who you are, what you're doing, how long you've been playing, a basic description of the band.
Mm-hmm.
We do want to know if you're local. So we always try to highlight, are you from here?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
a lot of alumni who've moved on want to apply and they're like, but I'm from there. I grew up on, Walton Street.
Right.
And that's, I think, important for this year. I think this year, the 20th anniversary, we are trying to get back to kind of the roots of the local scene. And because there are so many local bands, this is a good year to do it. But you go on, you apply, and you submit an MP3, and we get a sense of the sound. And again, people vote on you. If you're,
Great.
Yeah. So you are listening to all these bands.
Yeah.
Okay, and by yourself at your house, and So how many songs do they have to send you? 2 or 3?
One song, and
you base it on.
I know in the first 30 seconds if it's what I'm looking for.
Right.
For me personally, everybody has his or her own criteria.
And
for me, I put down things like female.
okay.
I put down symbols for instrumentation that are beyond the norm, like horn or clavinet, or something that might be different.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I put down some symbols that I have for style.
Right.
And then I judge harmonies, like I listen for harmonies.
And you take it real seriously, and then you go to the rest of the committee, and do you ever have the rest of the committee's like, nah, I didn't like it, and you're like, what? I mean,
exactly.
And it's like,
But like I said, the first, at least the first 15, we all agree on.
yeah.
And then it's the next 25 that we have to arm wrestle over.
But to your point, well, what you're saying, you point out like different categories, right? Like it is very impressive what an eclectic group of performers you do have every year, right? And you don't have that in every music festival, right? And that's really a great thing. It's very Maplewood. So,
yeah. I think. So there is and has been a blues festival.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of blues bands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we can't. I think we try, at least I personally, again, this is my perspective, try to limit, let's say, the straight blues stuff to like a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? There's jazz crossover. Well, we don't want to be a jazz-based event, but somebody is doing some great instrumental work, and then somehow that becomes a Beatles song, and it's really cool. Well, they might get my vote, even though I'm not looking for jazz.
Right.
And the other area of where like hip hop and kind of pop rock are meeting now. I mean, there's a lot of convergence. So, and I think that's what's exciting about this potential headliner is they kind of bring everything to the table, and that's what we want to do, but within limits.
Yep.
Awesome. So, Ian, people ask me, because I've known Tarquin for years, and they say, "That's a very interesting name, Tarquin. I wonder where that name came from." And I always tell them that your sister's name is Michael.
That's true.
So,
That's right.
So your dad had an interesting way with names. His sister, by the way, is a famous woman.
Yes. Mama Walton.
Mama Walton, Michael Learned. That's right. So your sister's Michael Learned. She played the mom in the Waltons back in the 70s.
She was a great actress beyond the Waltons.
So that's
but
true,
That's what we
Ian.
all
Thank
know her
you.
for.
She just Dahmer's grandmother, right? And
she was Jeffrey Dahmer's grandmother.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like, what's worse than being Tarquin's brother, being the Dahmer? But anyway, so you grew up in a family where entertaining was kind of
not really. I have 9 brothers and sisters, and before I was born, because Michael is now 85.
Wow.
Yeah, still going.
Wow,
That's great.
And God bless John Doherty, her husband who just passed away. Sorry, Michael.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And so she was already out of the house, as was 6 other girls.
Yeah.
And they did end up in a place in outside of Toronto for acting, and so they all kind of went to this academy.
Gotcha.
But my dad, no. My mom, no.
You grew up in Virginia.
I grew up in Laos first. In Laos, and then we moved to North Africa to Tunis.
Oh, I never knew this.
To Tunis.
How did your family end up there?
My father was worked for the government. He was in Central Intelligence.
Wow, very
And
interesting.
he was a government attaché at these spots. Worked at the embassy.
Very interesting.
Awesome.
But obviously creative genes.
Yeah.
But my dad was pretty freaking creative. He spoke a lot of languages, and he read incessantly. And if you just leave him alone, he could do his crossword puzzle. He'd be happier than a pig in shit.
And when did the music in you?
My brother.
Your brother?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jimmy Jam.
Yep. And by the way, I'm being very serious when I thought Tarquin is a great guitar player, great singer, and very diverse.
Thank you.
He'll do Grateful Dead one minute, and then you're doing a pop song, with the Stuff Brothers. It's
pretty cool.
I mean, and Felt was another band that you were in years ago.
All original.
We remember Goodstein. Ian and I did a
we
web
go.
series.
That's
called
right.
Goodstein.
I think you were in an episode, right?
In an episode, and the theme song.
I didn't know that. I never knew that.
The theme song was Tarquin.
Wow, it was great.
That's right.
Tarquin and Jim Robertson.
Yes.
Yeah. So, my brother Jim. He played in a band called 6 Feet Under in high school at McLean High School. And they were freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And they did Stones.
And that's
Beatles.
how you got it. So that he just kind of taught you
my mom and I would go see him play, and I'd be like, "Damn, man, look at him dance around."
Yeah, I don't know how he's doing it, but that's what I want to do.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So, but he lent me a guitar when I was probably 15. And I was up in Canada for a couple weeks. And had a guitar, and I just learned, banged out the bruises and the calluses, and and I've been a pretty crappy guitar player ever since. But thank you for your accolades.
You know what? And you generally you'll play the acoustic guitar.
Yeah,
that seems to kind of. Any particular reason why that over electric? I never asked you this. I'm asking you now.
Too many knobs and pedals freak me out.
He's a purist.
Where can people find your music? Where can it come? How can they find out where you're playing? I mean,
Yeah. So the first band, Felt, is all original, and I'm super proud of it. Felt, F-E-L-T, fresh out of the garage. It's on all your major players, right? Apple, Spotify, wherever you.
That was Matt Hauser was a drummer.
Matt Hauser,
Jim
Steve
Robinson.
Feldman,
That's
Ian
right.
Smith, the great Ian Smith on
that's
guitar.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And
Jim, of course.
And Jim.
Yep.
So then now we have the Stuff Bros, STUFFBROS, stuffbros.com. We're actually releasing a couple songs in the very near future.
All right.
It's just a lot of paperwork to distribute music now. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I like my feeds on Insta and all that is like, do you know how to distribute music? You're not getting paid.
My son does the same thing.
Yeah,
he talks about
It's a loophole after loophole.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
So Stuff Brothers, stuffbrothers.com, Stuff Bros. And then the Deadful Greats you can find out there. We play around town and
there are quite a few Grateful Dead tribute bands. I think yours is one of the best. And I'm not just saying that again. Your guitar players are great.
Yeah.
Your drummer. I mean, it's really.
I think it's whoever that does the Dead stuff just kind of embodies it, their way and translates it. You don't need to mimic it. You know what I mean?
No,
have fun with it.
And some of these bands, they don't have Jerry's soul folk voice, the old timey. You've kind of got that a little bit. And I pointed it out to
thanks
other
to
bands
350 shows, Lee.
That's right. That's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
350. Which of your bands applied to be in Maplewoodstock this year?
The Stuff Bros.
Got it.
Stuff Brothers.
Yeah. So all right. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ian, any more questions regarding Maplewoodstock? Tarquin, what haven't we covered? We've covered your sister. We've covered your music. We've covered
the whole creative Learned family.
Yeah. So.
Other names: Michael, Sabra, Dorit,
these are the family
Philippa.
There we go.
There you go. Shout out to my girls.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe you want to mention some of the other people working in Maplewoodstock.
Oh yeah, I mean, so we have a committee now. It's grown, and now we have subcommittees. So we've got. Susan Rogers is kind of holding the flag right now. So it's great to have her on board. She's always been excellent at organizing us. She helped us create a wonderful project timeline and all the responsibilities. We've got, so she's relatively new to the group.
Yep.
But that's good because she's like a marketing, aficionado.
She's an organizer.
Get things organized and
She spanks me when I go wrong.
So how many days of the year? How often are you doing Maplewoodstock type of work?
12 months out of the year, one meeting a month at least, and then we go into high gear 6 months out. I probably put in thousands of hours.
Are you able to relax at Maplewoodstock?
I think because a lot of
just waiting for something to go wrong.
Some people can't.
Yeah,
but I can because a lot of my job's over.
Right.
That point.
Yeah.
I'm refreshing ice in the VIP room.
You've got to the finish line as far as you're concerned.
But Brad Goldman has helped us not only from like a legal perspective, but also as part of our Maplewood Arts Education Project, 501c3. We still have Jim Robertson and Jamie Ross, who everybody's kind of got their responsibilities, and it's great. Kevin Chandler helps with the music committee. And he manages our food vendors. So we have roles, and then we have subcommittees. We have a great art, where all these art vendors go. How do we get them here? How do they apply?
Yeah.
So we've got Brian McNamara, Steve Casella, Allison Oxman, who helped Jamie and I kind of put the art vendors together. So it takes a village, people.
So I used to, I still do sometimes, but not as much. But I used to produce comedy shows, stand-up comedy shows, and I would MC it, and we would get a headliner, sometimes a bigger name. My biggest fear was the headliner wasn't going to show. I was going to get a call. The car broke down. It's happened once at Maplewoodstock. Matt Hauser played for the drummer.
Yeah.
Wow. This has still got to be a fear for you that the headlines go, hey, man, got a problem. Our plane is...
I mean, shite happens, right? So... last year we had a lightning, or year before, was it last year? Lightning storm. Yeah. And one of the bands who was sub-headlining said, we're not going to go out there.
Yeah.
And so we had to shift things around. I had to call the tour manager for the other band, the headliner, they were in Morristown. Please get in your cars, get here as soon as possible. We'll get you on stage.
Earlier, you play longer.
You'll play earlier, play longer. But that ended up getting canceled because after 30 seconds of their first song. So it happens, and
right, that's right. Yeah, the storm. But years ago there was a band. The drum. I forgot the name of the band, but Matt's a local drum. Matt.
He stepped right up.
Great guy. He was in your band. And he stepped up. So he was just a local dad hanging out with his kids. Next thing you know, he's on stage and he's playing with the headliner.
One of the happiest moments of his life.
Right. So for those of you who are musicians out there who aren't playing at Maplewoodstock, if you bring your sticks.
Yeah, bring your sticks.
Right. You never know.
And another, one thing also, Tarquin, you mentioned that it takes a village, right? And I do want to point out again before we end today, it also takes money, right? And that's one of the things that you were talking about. So folks who might be interested in being a sponsor for Maplewoodstock, take a look at Maplewoodstock Maplewoodstock.com. It's a great way to get your name out there. It's a great way to help a very important event that people in
That's
people
one
in
name
Maplewood,
I
South
forgot.
Orange cherish.
One name I forgot who's been there since the get-go is Gary Shippey.
Gary Shippey.
Gary
yes.
Shippey has...
By the way, while we're talking about drums,
he's a drummer.
Yeah, Gary Shippey's a drummer.
For Laredo.
Yep, that's right.
Great band. They do a little honky country rock, whatever. Good stuff. So Gary has just been a stalwart in all the sponsorship gathering. He's out there knocking on doors and
he's emailed me.
Yeah. So God bless Gary Shippey.
I have a very funny Gary Shippey story for a second if you guys got a minute. So Gary Shippey, my wife and I, we went to Pittsburgh last summer to go see the Mets play. I don't know why. We just we always want to see Pittsburgh. Met tickets.
It's a great city.
So we drive to Pittsburgh, never been there before. We check into the hotel. We're there for 5 minutes, and a car pulls up. And I'm looking at the driver, and I go, bro, is this guy somebody? She's like, I don't know. He looks like he looks familiar. Must be an actor. I go, yeah. You know, and it's like, she's like, he's kind of good looking. And so we're looking at the guy, and I'm like, he must be an actor. And then he gets out of the car, and I'm like, wait a second. That's Gary Shippey. Gary Shippey had just pulled into Pittsburgh coming back from Ohio or whatever.
That's hilarious.
I think he was never in Pittsburgh either. So we were both in Pittsburgh for 30 seconds. Hey, and meanwhile we see each other. Maybe we just wave, but they were hugging hello. But anyway. So
he may not be an actor, but he's an author.
Is Gary Shippey an
Little
author?
known fact about Gary Shippey. He's written a book. I think he might be on number 2.
Wow.
And he likes to vacation in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
If you'd like to know more about Gary Shippey, please go to www.maplewoodstock.com.
Good man, Gary Shippey. And we won't. He was married to someone
who's in town politics.
Who's in town politics?
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
former husband.
And he's the grandfather.
Mayor Nancy Adams. Right. So So anyway, we love you too, Nancy.
You'll be on the show one day, Nancy.
That's right. Yes, Nancy will be on the show as well. Yes.
Can I be with her?
Oh, 100%. Yes. The more the merrier. Yeah. And then you could ask for Maplewood
a raise.
To step up to the
go.
right.
That's right.
We would like more money, Nancy, for Maplewoodstock.
It's a lobbying opportunity.
No, we don't want that.
That's right. That's right. Will you ever sell tickets to Maplewoodstock? Is that ever going to happen? Has that been discussed? Fencing it in?
Yeah, it's all been discussed. Probably not while I'm around.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I guess some of those complaints I've heard very rarely. People say, "Well, it's a little too." Now we've talked about this a little bit with the headliner. It's kind of rock bands. It's not really hip hop. It's a little thought process on is the music as us old rock and rollers get older and older, might we see a variation of the type of music?
I think it's evolved over time, and if you want to go to a hip hop show, that's not us. I mean, we have to kind of identify.
Right.
We are eclectic.
Yeah.
We have a wide range of music,
Yeah,
and if
right.
you sit there and actually go through all the performers, 24, 25, if you actually go through them, you're going to be quite surprised at the complexity and versatility of the music.
Yeah,
that's great.
So no, we're not a hip hop show, and no, we're not a blues show, and no, we're not a rock show.
Right.
We're everything.
Right. No.
And
you have to identify as something. This is the music that we generally.
What we want you to do is people to walk out of that park scratching their heads, going, "Let me write that down because that was a great little little show I saw, and I really like so and so, and I'm going to go turn it on in my house." And that's what we want.
I love last year was Great Jones. The Great Jones. I'd heard of them, but. First time, guy was incredible. Yeah, like a little David Bowie thing going on. The lead singer he changed outfits and he changed personas.
Remember Jones.
Remember Jones. Remember Jones.
Yeah.
They were great. Remember Jones was great.
They're from the shore.
Right,
and Mark Lowney brought us Remember Jones, and Tom Kearns had seen them down the shore, and they're like, "Let's bring him in."
Yeah, fantastic. And
great guy.
Yeah, he changes his persona on stage. He's kind of Queen, Freddie Mercury at first. Then he's kind of Bowie maybe on the next. And Elton John. He's got a little Elton John thing going.
Yeah, he does theme shows. So like he'll do a Amy Winehouse show the whole 2 hours. He'll do a Mad Dogs and Englishmen show for 2 hours. He'll do a Meatloaf show.
Yeah, wow.
Like, I don't know who goes to that one, but
yeah.
But he's great. Remember Jones, folks.
Remember Jones.
You heard it here at Maplewoodstock.
That's right, yeah. And the reason I called him Great Jones is because he's great. But Remember Jones is the great. Because
he used to live on Great Jones Street.
That's right, yes, in the city. Yes, that's right. So, Ian, do we have any further questions for the great Tarquin?
I don't think. Can you make sure the temperature is under 100 degrees?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, we would like to talk. No, actually, good question. Pandemic shows canceled because of the pandemic. I think for 2 years, right?
A year and a half. Yeah.
But then you were going to move it to October.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen because of this pandemic. And I know old timers like Ian were like, "Oh, October sounds lovely," you know.
Exactly.
I'll be able to wear my sweater, you
There we
know. But why July? I guess is the best question.
Well, I think it worked out well because we get the porta potties for free after July 4th weekend.
Okay, they're on discount. That's good. That's a good question.
Don't forget, we only had $350.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But bands are touring. That's when the festivals are going on. That's festival season.
I mean, listen, we're looking for a plumber or a water company who wants to sponsor Misters. So be on the lookout for Misters this year.
All right.
All right.
I'll just park my lawn chair right in front of the Mister.
There we go.
I always wanted to do a slippery slide right down the middle of the hill.
Yeah.
Right to the stage. You know, where they
Quite
just
an
pour the
entrance.
water
Yeah.
from the fire hydrant. It's right down the middle, man.
TikTok video. Watch Tarquin. There he is, and
That's
he's on
it.
stage.
Yeah. Little ramp at the end.
That's right. We can do that. We can make that happen.
Yep.
Ian.
A
little
All
triple
right.
Lindy.
So rather
We'll talk to people.
Rather than donating money, Ian, we're going to donate the slip and slide.
There we
Yeah,
go.
right.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
right.
I'll do that.
We really would have appreciated money, even said it. But anyway, Tarquin, you were the man. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
coming
Tarquin.
in.
Thank you.
This was
Again,
great.
ladies and gentlemen, we've told you how this whole thing works. I didn't know. Now you know. Ian.
Maplewoodstock.com.
Maplewoodstock.com.
Check
Yeah,
it out.
baby.
Tarquin Learned, Lena Avlin, Ian Grodman. We'll do it again soon. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.